Welcome everybody to our cyber security awareness training. We do these approximately once every quarter. For all of our managed clients, we recommend we actually do this for the whole company at least once a year. Just want to thank everybody for attending. We've got a pretty good turnout today. If there's any questions, if you put those into the Q&A, we'll get those answered either during or at the end of the presentation. So just basically what we're covering today is the threats that are happening in our landscape. So important that people are very aware of what to click, what not to click, what to be careful of doing. People think that computers are safe because they've got an antivirus. Unfortunately, in today's world, the threats are much worse than that. So what we'll do is we'll start today just by going through the agenda and just basically who is Sterling IT for our non-customers, some important email information, attacks and security risks, how to protect you and your business, and also we'll have an open discussion at the end. For people that don't know, who is Sterling IT? So we were established back in 1995, so we're 30 years old this year. We're basically Australian owned and operated and strategically located in Norwest Baulkham Hills. Our staff are also vendor trained, so that's with Barracuda, Microsoft, and a whole heap of other vendors as well. Our main goal is customer satisfaction and obviously to try to do the things right the first time. And we also pride ourselves on integrity, honesty, and trustworthiness, hence why we rebranded to Sterling IT many years ago. So what do we do? Sterling IT does proactive managed services, monitoring computer systems and networks and security. We do all sales and support of hardware and most software. We provide many cloud solutions, including Dropbox and Microsoft SharePoint and OneDrive. We provide email protection and backup, disaster recovery, and for servers either in Microsoft Azure hosted or on-premise. Internet services of all type. We're also NBN co-accredited as well. And we also do asset management of all your devices. And the big thing is we're also help desk and support services for most of our customers as well. We also provide telephone, VoIP-based phone systems. And we also provide your notifications via email. And I'll show you how you can sign up for those notifications as well. And the big one is we also now have a 24-hour SOC, Security Operations Center, where we can actually monitor customers' networks and provide 24-hour assistance. So if a threat is actually happening, the devices would be isolated from the network, and we would actually get a phone call 24/7 to notify us about that as well. And we can also assist with cyber insurance. We do not get any commissions or anything like that with cyber insurance. There are two companies that we deal with, and they basically provide cyber insurance plus other business insurances as well. If you need some more information, I can provide you those two companies. They're both located in Norwest as well. Support and maintenance, a couple of ways to contact Sterling IT. Down the bottom of your computer, if it is a managed computer, you can contact us through the icon. It's 3 questions and it logs a ticket instantly via phone, via email, or obviously via our website. We have response time set, so service level agreements are in place. We do all your patch management, security updates. We say leave your systems on at night, but logged off. So for Windows updates to happen, and this is for unmanaged customers as well. If the computers are auto updating, they will generally do those auto updates late at night. So if your computers are off all the time in the evening, there's a good chance that they're most probably not getting their updates. Restart systems often as well. We often have clients where they turn around and say, my computer's running slow, this application isn't working. Simple reboots generally fix 95% of the problem. It's an ongoing joke and we have it as a humor video on our website, but yeah, it fixes most problems. Also third-party patching and Microsoft patching as well. So that includes not including ERP systems, but things like Google Chrome, third-party zip programs, etc. And with patching, unfortunately, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. So patching is absolutely crucial that you get it done. We have no control over the patching. Microsoft and the vendors, other vendors will actually push that through. What we do to minimize when it is managed is we hold back the non-critical patches for 7 days to 14 days. If it's a bug, our customers won't get affected for it. So Microsoft have released some bad patches. You might have even seen one like from CrowdStrike where it took out most companies. Unfortunately, they weren't controlled. Then what we do is with critical updates, we push those through every single day. So if Microsoft release a critical update within 24 hours outside of the standard patching schedule, we will push that at 2 p.m. every single day. Customers will also see that they sometimes get annoyed by a reboot in the middle of the day. And this is because a critical patch is being pushed and it needs a reboot. It is annoying, but unfortunately, like I said, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. Remote assistance, we can provide all that, and we also log everything as well. So when we have somebody remote to you, and you're wondering whether it was Sterling IT or somebody else, we can confirm for you who it was and when it was and for how long as well. Now, getting into the best part. Internet's not a safe place. People feel safe behind a keyboard at home. They think that because they're sitting behind a screen in a locked room, that their systems are going to be safe, their data's safe, what they're typing on their keyboards is not seen. However, there's programs called RATs or remote access tools where hackers or people trying to steal information could load on your computer, and basically they're watching and seeing everything you do and type. So you do need to be very, very careful. Some of these things are created because of what people post on social media sites, things like that. So what they do is they do social engineering, and that is where they try and either steal your identity or impersonate yourself with somebody else. So when you go on holidays, for example, do not go and post all over the Facebook pages and LinkedIn saying that you are traveling, you're going away for 6 weeks and I'm going to Hawaii or whatever. And basically what happens there is people realize then, okay, you're away. The other thing is birth dates. A lot of banks, when you ring them up, the first security question they'll ask you is what's your date of birth? So if people have got all this information on you, it's easy to get through to the security questions that companies will ask you, whether it's phone companies or banks or the like. Photos from mobile phones. When you take a photo, it has your location services. What you've got to be careful there is if you're sharing those photos, I can grab that photo, put the photo into a little program called EXIF, which is a free program that you can download. It will tell me what device the photo was taken with, the aperture, and more importantly, the GPS location. So if you're taking photos at home and then you're posting them on a lot of social sites and things like that that don't have what we call the metadata removed, people can then see where these photos are taken and then find out where you live or where you are or where that photo was taken. Products like LinkedIn, Meta, which is Facebook, and Instagram, and those now strip that data. They never used to. So that privacy information has been removed, but just be aware of that as well. Don't provide people on the phone with any personal or company information. So sometimes you'll get a random phone call, and I'll go more into detail of this. You don't know who it is that you're speaking to. It's just a voice, and I'll go in about AI as well, because AI is a good thing, but it's also a really bad thing as well. So I'll explain more about that as well. Be very cautious of what website you go to and what you click. Again, I'll give you a little bit more information on this, but we're seeing it was about 8 years ago where Ticketek or Ticketmaster, I cannot remember which one, they sold some ads, and the ads were linked to a malicious website. So when you would click on the ad, it would actually install malware on your computer. Obviously, as times have changed, the hosting companies and that monitor and check those now. But depending on what website you go to, some of those are not vetted. Email and internet usage. Okay, so you've got to be very careful opening emails with webs or attachments that you're not expecting. There's a new threat going around as of yesterday. I haven't even been able to put that into the slides yet. And this is the problem. These threats are changing all the time. So people that have seen this training that I'm doing now most probably will see the first half a dozen slides and going, yeah, I've seen all this. But as we get towards the end, a lot of those slides are new and different. So what's happening now is they're sending out links to make it look like you're logging into Facebook. They're stealing your data, but they're also installing malicious code as well. If somebody does send you an email, okay, and you're not sure, always ask, okay? So you can either forward it to Sterling IT, sorry, not forward it, attach it to an email and send it to Sterling IT. If you create a new email, attach it and send it to us, we have that original email with all the servers that it actually goes through. If you forward it, we lose that information. So it's really important. The other thing too is if you forward it, anti-spam on our side might block it as well, because anti-spam may allow certain mail through in the first batch, and then the second batch gets blocked because the AI learns and then starts to block it. The best thing to do though is if you're not sure, pick up the phone, call the sender, don't reply to the email, call the sender and say, did you send me this email with these links, and get a verbal verification. If you reply and the mailbox has been hacked, the hacker's going to get your reply and obviously he's going to say, yes, it's legit, wanting you to click it. Okay, so just be very, very careful. When I do this in groups and I go see clients, one of the things is I ask customers, if everybody can put up their hand of, who uses public Wi-Fi in hotels and cafes and airports. And I would say on a lot of cases, it's around 90%, which is really, really, really dangerous. Most people don't have a VPN on their computer, which basically means that everything that they use is unencrypted. Obviously, certain things like when you're sending an email out is encrypted. When you're communicating via Facebook, it's encrypted, but there are programs on your computer that are not encrypted when they're being sent via the internet. And what VPN does is it actually encrypts it and actually sends it via another server. However, that said, with 4G, 5G being so cheap, we strongly recommend you use either roaming SIMs or local 4G, 5G card. Strongly, strongly, strongly recommend never use public Wi-Fi hotels or cafes or airports or shops. There's been a lot of hacking where people sit on the same network and steal your information. Can even send you pop-up messages to click and then they can have remote access to your computer. Please don't email any passwords, including credit card numbers or personal information, driver's license in emails. Okay, we do see customers where we had a client that wasn't our client at the time. They did get breached. And then I actually just searched his mailbox for a credit card and I found a credit card number. And then I said, is this your credit card? And he goes, yes. And I said, okay, have you had any problems with charges on this credit card? He goes, funny enough, I had to cancel the card. So what the hackers did was they searched for his mailbox and used his credit card basically. So do not send any credit card information. If your company takes credit cards, even taking a credit card over the phone and writing it down on a piece of paper is not in compliance with the PCI laws. If you do use one of our phone systems, a lot of our clients actually use our phone systems, we can actually put on a PCI compliant credit card authority system where the customer actually types the credit card number in and comes through, and that's all PCI compliant. You'll find that when you're speaking to insurance companies and that where you're paying over the phone, it's the same system as that. So we can actually do that for you as well. Also understand that email is a legal format of communication. So when communicating either internally or with clients or suppliers, be understanding that it can be used in a court of law. Understand that email is not secure as well. Okay, so emails can get intercepted. We do have multi-factor now on most of our applications, and we strongly recommend that multi-factor is actually installed on all applications. However, now they've found a way of circumventing and bypassing the MFA as well. If they've got access to your computer, they will steal a cookie, put the cookie on their computer, and they don't even need to log in. They're actually straight into your application. So, for example, if you had SharePoint open on your computer or Dropbox, and it was running in a browser, it creates a cookie to say, I can open up another browser window, and it just works. It logs in without actually having to log in again. If that hacker was to steal that little cookie, which is a little file, a temporary file on your computer, and then they put that into their computer, they can gain access to that application or website as well. So it's very, very important that that information is not stored there. Okay, phone calls and texts. Be very careful what information you share on the telephone when you get phone calls. AI can also now copy your voice. So you might see a lot of phone calls that do come through to your mobiles and they're generally dead calls. What I suggest you do is, if you don't recognize the number, just be very, very cautious of talking for a long time. We've actually got a customer who record all their mobile phone messages because they provide company phones. They use a professional recording company. So there's just one girl that records all the voice messages for all the staff. So that way AI isn't able to copy their voices. And there's a story I'm going to show you about that as well. If you do get an email or you do get a call and they ask you to call them back, just always Google the phone number, and just be very careful that when you do Google the phone number, it is actually from the company, because what they are doing now is they're buying ads and they're actually putting the fake number within the ads. And this is the extreme that they're going to. They will pay for an ad to put a fake number in. So if you're Googling a company, the first one that comes up is always a paid sponsor, and you may see that phone number in there. So make sure that, for example, if it's St. George Bank, go to stgeorge.com.au, log on, get the phone number, and then call them back from that. It's getting pretty bad. And so, sorry, just going back one, we've seen where customers have had a pop-up because they've installed some software off a website, and it's installed some other software, which then gives them a pop-up and says, McAfee needs your computer's infected, please call this number to get support. What happens is you call that phone number, the hacker says, okay, jump on a TeamViewer, I'll remote to your computer, and then what they do is they basically start to attack and hack you. So be very, very careful with the pop-ups as well. Again, just give us a call if you do, and we can go through that with you. If you get any suspicious phone calls, I strongly recommend you just hang up. We always say to clients, if somebody from Sterling IT calls you and you don't know who they are, hang up and then call us back, because it could be anybody. We had a staff member start with us and we didn't notify our clients. He started calling clients, and I would say 60 to 70% of our clients hung up and actually called back, which was really, really good. It just shows that, people are not trusting. And unfortunately, with technology today, you can't trust. You've got to basically have the facts. Don't click on text messages with links. This is an old one, but I'm sure that a lot of people would have got text messages from LinkT for tolls saying, your account is not paid, and if you don't pay, your tag's going to be cancelled or what have you. A lot of the websites now, like LinkT, have actually a link that you can actually put the phone number in, and then they report that to the phone companies to block those phone numbers as well. These companies have millions of, or not millions, but hundreds of phone SIMs that they text from. So it is, chasing a moving target, but slowly the phone companies will block those phone numbers. Okay, email protection. So we do a lot of email protection for a lot of our clients. However, if you don't have any email protection, for example, like even the basics of anti-spam, it's really, really important that you may get some dodgy emails come through. There's a further product now called DMARC, which is protecting your domain name. So, for example, sterlingit.com.au. And what we do is with DMARC is we're telling the world that only trust emails from sterlingit.com.au that come from this list of places. If it comes from anywhere else, you as a recipient will not get it, okay, if you've got anti-spam. So the anti-spam system looks at that and says, I don't trust it, block. So it's very, very, very important that your brand is protected as well as a business, but as a personal person, it's really important that, again, you do have mail protections. Now, Microsoft and Google, I'm not too sure about Yahoo, but I definitely know that Google and Microsoft have implemented basic filters, but they are very, very basic. So, like many things, though, we're going to get false positives. It's inconvenient, but at the end of the day, it's better off to block something that's suspicious than allow something that's dangerous. And prevention is always better than a cure. But again, we can always assist with training systems. A lot of these are AI based, but they're also trained based on what is the damage. For example, we had a client where they've been sending emails to everybody for so many years. Their website got hacked. They put malware on their website, and this company is a builder. They are a professional, reputable builder, but because their website got hacked, it had malware on there. In their signature was their website. So good anti-spam products would actually scan the URLs that come in on that and block the emails. And all their emails were being blocked purely because in their signature they had their website, and their website had malware on there. So again, anybody with anti-spam would have been protected in that particular case. But however, if you've got any questions, email us through to tech with the attached email. So for example, you get that email, create a new email, drag it into that and attach it, please. It's always easier to ask for help and then rectify a problem or have an outage. And email is the biggest threat vector of today. It used to be the days of sending a virus out. Viruses are very minimal. Malware, ransomware, your clickbaits, all that type of stuff is your highest threats today. So it's very, very important to be very cautious on what's being clicked. Okay. So the other thing is we recommend that all emails protected by MFA. We are basically forcing our customers to make sure that all mail has got MFA on it. All admin accounts have got MFA, but it's very, very important that you don't just have a username and a password. You've also got that third level where you've got a rolling code as well. So what is MFA? Okay, so multi-factor is a protection method that's besides a password. So it's a rolling code that changes, and there's different ways of doing it. There's hardware tokens. On the left-hand side, you'll see what we call a YubiKey. That's a device where you physically plug it into the computer. That's actually an NFC one as well. So you can actually tape that onto the back of your Android or your Apple phone. So rather than typing in a code, you've actually got that device and you just press a button. This is the only MFA device that is 100% foolproof today. Now, I say that today because tomorrow it could change. The MFA tokens that you have on your text codes, for example, are least secure, but they are still better than having nothing, okay? But the physical devices cannot be bypassed by a hacker. And if you watch hacking videos and see that what they do, they will say that this is the only thing that we cannot bypass. So the ways of security would be, the first one would be the physical, the next one would be the apps. Microsoft used to have the app where you basically just say yes, allow, no, don't allow. And what was happening was hackers were sending bots. So they would actually try and log in, and you would keep on just getting pop-ups, and you go, no, 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 no. And the way to stop that from popping up consistently, you just go yes. And what you've actually done is given the hackers access to your mail account. So what Microsoft have done now is they've changed that. So you have to actually type in like a 2-digit code or something like that, or hit allow once the code is replicated across the screen. So for example, it might give you 3 numbers on your phone. There's 1 number on your screen. You've got to select the right number. That's the second best way. And then the third best way, obviously, is text. It is the least protected. However, it's not encrypted. So if somebody was to actually see your phone, this is where the problem is, and you've got a display of the text code preview. Then what ends up happening is you basically not see the text code. They can type that in and bypass your security. Unfortunately, some banks actually are still using text codes as well. But having some MFA, even on text, is better than nothing. I have a lot of text MFA, but I'd rather have a text MFA than no MFA. All right, viruses and security risks, okay. So ensuring that you're using a trusted IT provider with software vendors that are utilizing, legal software, tested software, working software. For example, don't go and download free software from unknown authors or cheap pirated software. And I say that because if you were to go to Google and just type in, Office download or buy Office, you'll see that there's about 4 or 5 companies that are selling Microsoft Office for $29. I can tell you now, you cannot buy Office for $29. What they do is they have malware built in, or they're selling illegal licenses. Microsoft shut these down. They open up under a different name tomorrow. They have basically 10 websites ready to go, and as soon as they get closed down, they just move on. So the biggest problem we see here, we had a client just recently install some manufacturing equipment, and unfortunately it had pirated software on there which had malware, and luckily our systems picked it up before anything happened. So it's really, really important that even with third-party products, you're making sure that everything that you've got's legit. And we also run into this thing now with, and it's not in this presentation, but Windows 10 is going end of life basically in next month. So all support, security updates, etc., will only be for Windows 11. So if you are running any Windows 10 machines still, speak to us. We can mostly do free upgrades as far as no licenses are required. But depending on how old the machine is, a lot of the older machines won't support the upgrade, and you may need to replace your computer. The differences between CryptoLocker and phishing. So with CryptoLocker, that is basically where, or ransomware, that's basically where you click on something, all your files get encrypted and they want a ransom, and all your files are locked until you actually pay that ransom. There's only 2 ways of getting that back. You pay the ransom, or you restore from a backup, okay? The second one is phishing. That is basically where they send you an email to steal your credentials. And stealing your credentials is for a number of reasons. Number 1, to do identity theft on you. Number 2, to open up a bank account in your details. Or number 3, to attack somebody with false invoices, pretending that they're you, to try and get money out of them. However, getting back to ransomware, it's now illegal to pay ransoms in Australia. Okay, so the government have actually said that if you pay a ransom, you're aiding and abetting. So there's a lot of information on a website, cyber.gov.au, and it talks about all that. And I've got some links coming up as well to show you. Ensure all your data is not stored on your laptops or your desktops. Make sure it's stored either in a cloud environment or on a server. Servers are backed up. Cloud environments are basically, well, they should be backed up. And again, most cloud environments are not backed up, but they should be backed up. So if it's on a server or it's on a cloud environment, it's a second copy. You can access it from other computers. So if your computer was to go down, you can go to another computer and access it. But it's really important that it's not stored on your laptop or your desktop. Okay, keep all software updated, such as antivirus, security patches, and software versions. From our perspective, like I said, any customers of ours that are managed, we do this for you, again, except for ERPs and third-party applications like that. But antivirus software and security patches is definitely a requirement. And we're talking for all of our desktops and laptops, at a minimum, we patch twice a week. Okay. Do not share your passwords with anybody, and do change often. Now, when I say change often, I would say once a year would be enough with MFA, and providing that your password is unique and it's long. So there is a criteria to say you don't need to change it every 3 months, but there's a criteria of making sure that it's unique. So, if you use the same password in multiple locations, and that one, say, for example, you've got it on Facebook, LinkedIn, PayPal. Okay, so PayPal is your bank account, basically. Use the same login and the same password. Without MFA, if they get into your password, like Facebook gets hacked, they basically get all the usernames and passwords. They then run software to log into all these different websites, banking websites, social media websites, using that email address and password, and basically will try and attempt to actually log into every single one of those websites automatically. It's not like somebody sits there. It's all software driven. And basically, if you're using the same password, they're going to gain access to like your PayPal account or your banking accounts or what have you. So it's so important that, most of my passwords on average are 35 to 40 characters long. I don't know what they are. I use a password manager called LastPass. There are plenty out there. if you want to discuss different ones. I mean, we do Keeper, LastPass, 1Password. We do a few of them, but I personally use LastPass, have for many, many years. But it's really, really important that they're all unique. And with the password managers, you generally only need to remember one long password, and you get into a vault, and then from that vault, you can actually see all those passwords. Okay, protect your mobile devices with antivirus or protection software. If you're running Intune with Microsoft Business Premium, and we've got your devices under management, we can actually put software from Microsoft on there to monitor malicious websites, things like that as well. So if you do have, it's a non-invasive application, so it's not blocking any websites such as Facebook or anything like that, but what it will actually do is block from malicious websites. So it could even be deployed out to staff phones if they're on the management, things like that as well. Okay, so viruses and security, these are very old ones. If we look at these go back to 2016. So these are nearly 10 years old, these emails that I received. It's a little bit hard to see, but for example, the front one here, which is the ASIC one, if you hover over the link, it's actually not going to ASIC, it's going to a SharePoint site, which we don't know who it is because the name in front of SharePoint is unknown, and it's most probably going to be something malicious. If we hover over the bottom link, that was legit. If we hover over this link down here, it was legit as well. But again, this is before anti-spam and DMARC was a big thing, and SPF. It actually looked like it did come from ASIC. So even looking at the email address, it was genuine. This has all been fixed up now with the anti-spam. Like I said, this was 9 years ago. The next threat we have is when you preview a PDF, what's basically happening is it'll come up and say download it. What that is, it's a hyperlink. Okay, if you click on that, it's going to take you to a malicious website. When you hit preview on a PDF, it should preview the PDF. If it doesn't, then just be very cautious. Again, send it through to tech. We'll look at it for you and determine. This Optus website, again, a bit hard to see, but the URL is optus-bills.net. That is not an Optus domain, okay? Anything that's not a .au is high risk, okay, or a lot higher risk than a non.au. And the reason for that is I can go and buy any domain name I want. So, for example, what people are doing now is the hackers are buying domain names very similar to your domain name. So they might have an O instead of a zero, a zero instead of an O, for example, in the domain name, or a 1 instead of an I. So it looks very, very, very similar. And then what they're doing is they're emailing your clients asking for invoices, etc. And that's how they're bypassing, again, anti-spam. So there's always ways around it. But this MyBill one, it is not an Optus website, again, trying to steal credit card details. So there's a website called Have I Been Pawned? It's a really, really good website. It was written by an Australian who worked for Microsoft in Australia, and it's gotten so popular now that even the FBI are using it in America, and a lot of companies worldwide are using this. So what it basically is, I'll just quickly bring it up. You can type in an email address here, and I'm just going to quickly show you my Sterling IT one. And I've had this for a number of years, obviously, and I've had 16 data breaches, okay? Now, what happens is these are all the websites that have actually been attacked, that have actually stolen my information. So in this particular one, in February 24, it stole my physical address, phone numbers, job title, employers, okay? So not too bad. LinkedIn, they've scraped the database, okay? So again, they've looked at LinkedIn and stolen all the information out of LinkedIn. But if we go down, we're talking back in 2019, 2020. So my Sterling IT one hasn't really had much of a data breach, but like this one here, they've taken my date of birth, which is a problem. But again, if people are posting that on Facebook anyway, it's not going to make any difference. But there's no passwords that have been breached here, okay? Now, if I go to my Hotmail account, which I've actually had since Hotmail was first brought out, so many, many, many years. I've had 18 breaches, but the problem with the Hotmail one is they've stolen my geographic location, and that's Shopback, which is it's basically like a rebate program. I use that at home. So now they've got my home address, okay? Not specifically getting my home address, but knowing where my geographic location was. And there's a lot of other ones where, passwords have been stolen. So here we go, Zynga Games, going back in 2019. They've stolen my email address, my password, my phone number, and my usernames. So when they try to log into websites, some websites don't want an email address, they want a username. So then suddenly, if we're using the same username again in all places, they will try the username, the email address, and the password, and then try and compromise the websites. Now, what I strongly recommend you do, I will send everybody a link to this, and you can also get a copy of this presentation. But what I suggest you do is go to the website, and then you hit notify me. From here, you type your email address, hit notify me, and basically go like that. And it will actually send you emails when that email address has actually been compromised. So you'll get an email. Now, the problem we have, though, is that Shopback one I showed you. I'm just going to go back to the slides. Sorry, go back to backwards. So Shopback, for example, the date of the breach was 2020. We received that notification in 2021, and I think it was March 2021. So basically, it was 6 months before we found out that this website was actually compromised. The problem we have is, like I said, they had the passwords and the email addresses. They had 6 months to go and attack and find to see if I had any other websites. So when you get notified, and you've got the same password on multiple websites, it's mostly too late. They mostly already started to attack your other websites. So just be very mindful of having the same websites, okay? So the other danger is QR codes. During COVID, I was having a great time mucking around with people, but what you don't understand is when you scan a QR code, it can take you to a website, and that website could be malicious. A lot of places, for example, will have QR codes on a table, like you go to McDonald's or a dining place, you'll see a QR code. Always make sure that it's not a sticker on top, that it is actually underneath the plastic. Because what happens is sometimes people are malicious, they'll create a QR code, stick it over the top, you scan it and go to a malicious website. So be very careful what you scan. You can set up Wi-Fi passwords on device as well, which can lead you to malicious Wi-Fi. So again, I go to an airport, I basically go, oh, free Wi-Fi, connect here. So you scan the QR code, you're on a malicious Wi-Fi that says Sydney Airport. You don't know. So it's very, very important. You can also add information to your phone. So I can go and create a QR code that basically puts my mobile number in there and says NAB Bank. Then what happens is I call you, and on your phone it says NAB Bank, for example, but it's not. It's actually my phone number. So you're just going to be very, very careful with QR codes. Okay, so we talked about AI and people having the issues of when they answer a phone call, your voice can be recorded. The ATO actually use it, and they say, for your voice recognition, my voice identifies me in Australia, and they record your voice to, provide security. The problem is now with AI, they're actually creating recordings of voices. And there was a situation where you see this mum where she received a phone call, and these guys called her up, the mum, and said, we want $5,000. We've kidnapped your daughter. And, if you don't transfer $5,000, and she goes, no, I don't believe you. And then the daughter got on the phone, which was the AI voice, and said, mum, please, they've got me, just pay the money and so they can release me. The mum walked upstairs into the bedroom, and the daughter's just sitting on her bed, playing on a computer and, or phone, and, her mum's going, what the hell's going on? And they had no idea. This was the first recorded AI scam that actually went on to try and scam money out of it, to try and scare a parent. A worse one was a video call. On the left-hand side of the slide, you will see there was a video call. The CFO was in that video call. The other 3 people were directors or CIOs or CEOs of the company. I can't remember exactly, but they did a deep fake. Okay, and what a deep fake is where I'm talking right now, but I look like Donald Trump and I sound like Donald Trump. Okay, that's what they call a deep fake is. So a fake video call went through, and their employee transferred over 200 million Hong Kong dollars to a fake account from a video call. And yeah, the days of seeing is believing, unfortunately, is starting to diminish. And if I'm sure a lot of you have already seen a lot of the videos that are going around on social media. It's damn scary. So yeah, just be very, very careful. Computer hacked in 3 seconds. So have you ever been given a USB stick or found one on the floor? I'm sure the first thing people are going to do is plug it into the computer and go, what's on this? The best thing that could happen is I walk into your organization with a USB stick and I basically write payroll on it, drop it on the floor. Mate, people are going to be eager to plug that in, aren't they? So never plug a USB stick in from any source that you're unaware of. Okay, malware can be installed and installed within seconds without your intervention. And what we mean by that is you can have antivirus, but when you plug in that USB stick, what will basically happen is it will actually just self-install. Okay, and basically it takes 2 or 3 seconds to self-install, and then once it's done, they have remote access to your computer very easily, very quickly, without you even knowing. So yeah, just be very, very careful. A big thing, do not buy USB sticks from untrusted sources. If you're buying USB devices, what we call mass storage devices, and I'm talking external hard drives, USB sticks, even keyboards and mice, and I'm going to go down to even a cable, where we've actually seen, you can actually buy cables for iPhones, for example. It looks like a normal iPhone cable, and it only needs to be in your phone for about 3 or 4 seconds, and you can take full remote control of that phone. So when you're buying USB devices from untrusted sources, like I said, Gumtree, eBay, those places, you don't know what's preloaded onto those devices. There could be malware, it could be a keylogger, and the keyloggers is as you're typing, it's sending information off to somebody else. And this includes phone chargers and adapters, and especially shared chargers and adapters. So you go to an airport or a hotel and they go off free charging. Be very, very careful. Now, the way Android and Apple have mitigated this and tried to overcome it is if you notice that when you plug your phone into a laptop or a computer that can get data, it will always prompt you and say, do you trust this computer? Okay. What it's basically saying is, should I open up the data port and the charging port? If that comes up for any reason and you're plugging it into a charger, that means that charger is trying to steal your data. So very, very, very important that using shared devices is a no-no. I'm just going to quickly show you a video. That's for about 1 or 2 minutes. What is the time now? 10:45, 11:45. So not sure if everybody can hear this. Okay, sorry, people have just come back and said there's no audio. Not too sure why the audio is not coming. What I'll do is, that's okay. I will send you through the video and you'll actually have the links there and you can watch that. There's some funny videos there as well. Okay, but basically it's just saying how you go to a conference, you pick up a stick, plug it in, and it's very, very dangerous. Okay, so businesses need to report now and could be liable with a cyber breach. So very, very, very important. So what basically happens here is if there is a cyber attack, you need to report all cyber incidents, and basically it's no matter of what size company you are anymore. So you need to basically go to cyber.gov.au. We can help you with this if you were breached, and then basically also notify, which is really bad, customers and suppliers, because now what's happening is it causes business interruption, but also causes financial loss and can also cause a loss of customers. Look what's happened with Optus. Optus was the big one. I don't know why, but Optus have been a really bad target of data when they've had that breach. But that said, there's a lot of companies that have lost a lot of data. It's happened to Qantas and many, many others as well. After a cyber breach, and when we talk about a cyber breach, we're talking things like ransomware or high impact. Many businesses do fail and do not recover 3 years after a major incident. There was an Australian transport company, just over 50 years old. Can't remember, I think it was Capital Transport. And unfortunately, they closed their doors after a cyber incident. And they were a healthy business before the cyber incident. They were a small family-run business in Sydney. And unfortunately, they had to close the doors. And they literally sent an email out saying, apologies, but we've had to close. We can't do business anymore. Please ensure your business has cyber insurance with a cyber incident plan as well. If you don't have cyber insurance or a cyber incident plan, please contact us and we'd be happy to help you. What happens if you do encounter an incident? So turn off your computers immediately, contact IT support by phone immediately. We will then engage a cyber incident response plan. And if you don't have a plan, we strongly recommend to contact Sterling and we'll help you create one. And then we'll entail contacting the insurance company. Now, different insurance companies have different processes. Some of them will turn around and say, okay, no, that's fine. Thanks for reporting, put a claim in and that's it. Other insurance companies will say, no, we'll take it from here. Do not do anything because we need evidence. So, like I said, there's a number of insurance companies out there, and unfortunately there's less and less every day, which means cyber insurance is getting more expensive. We do have some insurance brokers on this chat as well, and they can say the same thing. Unfortunately, policies are going up, and it's not them gouging you. Unfortunately, it's the insurance companies. And the reason for it is because of incidences. You look at public liability, how many public liability incident claims have been made versus cyber claims. It's crazy. Again, if you don't have cyber, let us know and we can recommend a couple of people. So there's a really good phishing quiz here. We'd recommend you get your staff to do or yourself to do. It's simple. It's just a Google link. This is a Sterling IT security training PDF link. So if you go to that web page, you'll actually get this particular document that you can download and actually has all the links in it. I don't know if anybody wants to scan the QR code and just see the presentation as well. There's actually just put in the chat if you like what you see. If you scan and basically, we appreciate your attendance. We know your time is valuable. We're a little bit 10 minutes ahead of time. There's some more links there as well. On our webpage, if you go to the bottom right, there's a link for our mail list. And basically, we send out sales material through it as well, but we very limit the sales material. It's more about information and things like that as well. For example, like this webinar. We've got the Humour page, which has that USB video on there as well, and obviously our blog where we've got news articles. So just want to say thank you very, very much for everybody for attending. If we've got any questions, feel free to answer them now. Feel free to throw them into the Q&A. I'll wait a couple of secs to see if there's anybody that has any questions. Arnie, I've seen that you had your hand up. I'm not sure if you had a question. If you just want to type it into the Q&A for us, please. All right. Look, thank you very much for joining. Like I said, if you've got any questions, any concerns, want to talk about the either cyber insurance or setting up an incident response plan, please contact us, Sterling IT, and we'll be more than happy to help. Thanks very much, and we'll have a great day. See you later.